Listen. So M. Night's Trap has been pitched as Silence of the Lambs, but at a Taylor Swift concert, which actually kind of came true after the movie released.
Enjoy the rest of the concert.
And this time around, it's not even really about the twists as much as it is the turns that this movie takes to get from scene to scene. But it's also M. Night going full dad mode. Like, Shyamalan's been hiring his kids behind the scenes for his most recent movies. He's got an Easter egg in this one for his daughter's film, The Watchers. And then his other daughter, who sings, is practically a lead here.
And you're seeing the girls and in the movies, or the kids in the movies, are all the same ages as my kids. So, like Abigail Breslin in Signs was 5 when Saleka was 5. So they went trick-or-treating together. And, so they're all, and so Abigail wore princess dresses all the time through the movie because Saleka wore princess dresses all the time.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, like, you're seeing all those things, and even in a kind of twisted way, like, Split.
Oh,
they were the
gosh.
same ages as the girls getting abducted were the same ages as the girls, at that time.
Because you have all daughters,
Yes.
and then to do a movie like Split where he's abducting all these
I know.
girls is...
He writes his fears.
I write my fears, yeah.
So it really is a dad filming his daughter at a concert for a movie as a dad films his daughter at a concert for a movie. He also keeps funding his own stuff since he said that they mostly always take place in one place. So it's been funny seeing the marketing that pitches this as an experience because it is a concert film and that is the best part. But the trailers also mention his good movies and completely ignores everything between Signs and The Visit and literally the last 2 movies he just put out in theaters. So it is pretty funny when the marketing tells you,
the master of twists and turns sets his next trap.
So while I highly recommend the first half of this movie because I really do think it's fun, Josh is fantastic, and the concert part is actually really cool. The moment it hits that second half, man, that M starts standing for mid, because it's so goofy, I cannot explain.
A serial killer movie for the whole family.
So the movie starts off with a dad named Cooper rushing to take his daughter to a concert that's completely sold out to 30,000 people according to the trailers, 20,000 according to the movie.
20,000 in attendance today.
He's also going for Dad of the Year since he got the floor seats due to her good grades, whereas I was always getting the C+ nosebleeds if I was lucky. But it's for her favorite artist, Lady Raven, played by M. Night's daughter, Saleka, who wrote all the music. She made her own wardrobe and is even named after their family symbol, which you see in every opening credit logo.
Raven is a symbol that is kind of, it's important in our family. I don't know, we've kind of used that symbology. The Blinding Edge logo has like a raven in it, and my dad, we call our house Ravenwood because my dad really loves that character from Indiana Jones movies, and so the idea of something dark and powerful that's also beautiful, I think, is nice.
Incredible. Right as she starts, though, he notices that the cops are checking in on people in the upper deck, and he starts to get suspicious. So by the time all the fans whip out their cell phones, he puts on this face where I thought it was like the older dude getting disgusted with everyone's tech, when in reality, he was jealous because he wanted to check his so bad, he dipped to the bathroom. Turns out that the twist before the twist is that Cooper's the serial killer, and he has such an obsession that he's got a murder ring camera where he's always checking in on his victims in public places at max audio. He's able to get more info from this t-shirt guy by coming off as a nice daddy, and he gets this dude to tell him that there's a super duper secret mission that the FBI is pulling, where they've been planning a trap to capture this serial killer known as the Butcher after getting intel that he was gonna be there. So now they've locked down the place with dozens of SWAT going row by row searching for this dude as they've locked down all the exits. And if only, there was a security entrance that they checked you when you go through. Instead, the police arrived later than he did, and even later than the opener, but it's interesting to read up that there is a real-life case that M. Night had mentioned where Washington, D.C. cops set up a fake giveaway for Super Bowl tickets in order to attract felons to the stadium and then just arrested them all.
They were told to show up for 2 tickets to the Redskins game. We had a little fun with it. The president of Flagship International Sports Television was I.M. Detnaw, D-E-T-N-A-W, which is one it's spelled backwards. We had our business manager. His name was Marcus Cran, C-R-A-N, which is narc spelled backwards.
Another bit to note is that every time we're looking at Cooper and he's framed like this with just half of his face, it's because he's going to full Jekyll Hyde mode. Pretty much, it's his 2 sides being split, and that happens whenever he's about to hurt someone, like this lady that he pushes down the stairs for a distraction, because this man's good looking, but he's also looking evil.
It's a thriller. It's like a 90s contained throwback thriller. It'd be like watching Die Hard from Hans Gruber's perspective. Would that be interesting? It turns out it would be.
Now, I don't know why Lady Raven keeps pausing her set, considering that they base it off of Taylor Swift's tour, down to giving him the friendship bracelets, but she goes straight through, and here, they just pause it so that they can have more scenes on the outside. You can call it M. Night's The Errors tour, but it leads to one of my favorite scenes. Lady Raven ends up having several guest stars during, this FBI raid that she knows about, including Russ as an artist named Parker Wayne, who gives us one of the best scenes since he comes out of a trap door to perform. And Cooper is so goofy, he pitches to his daughter that they should sneak out through there.
We should climb down and see where it leads. It looks really cool.
What?
This man wanted to take the title door out. Instead, he goes to check in with the t-shirt guy, who turns out to be a huge fan of the butcher, and he's been following him for all 12 victims, to the point that he even has some footage on his phone. And if this little bit interested you here, I have a crazy recommendation for you, and that's this movie called Red Rooms. It's sick. Practically doesn't even show anything, but you've been warned if you want that one.
I'm kind of obsessed with him. I've been following him for all 12 victims.
I've been following him for all 18 victims.
Cooper's a scooper and snatches his key card while also getting the employee secret code, which is Hamilton, and then he sneaks into the break room, which is where the SWAT team is holding an important meeting. Like, this is an entire stadium. They couldn't give him a private room for this important mission? So now he's sneaking in there to get some coffee and their walkie, and he gets so cocky, the man nudges the SWAT team on the way out like he's getting a high off of it.
It becomes like when they're trapped, they're not as much scared as excited.
There's also a subplot about a crazy mom from school whose daughter bullied Riley, and Cooper's ready to make her his next victim if it wasn't for the cops watching. But that's where we see more of the mix of it being a father-daughter story where work keeps getting in the way, or you can call it passion, since for M. Night, it would be the movies and how time has been consuming him to the point that he's been caught up on set. And that goes with this other actress playing the lead FBI profiler, since Hayley Mills from The Parent Trap has been in the business since she was an infant.
Every movie is kind of the fear of losing the nuclear family. That's just the primary thing that's underneath all these movies, and then there's some kind of supernatural or unusual circumstances surrounding those.
As for the music, Saleka said that she wrote 14 tracks for Lady Raven, with them being inspired by Purple Rain. She said she got the choreo from Rihanna and Rosalia, even taking stuff from when she toured with Giveon, and technically her music is a part of the score, with the lyrics matching what's going on in Cooper's head and what he's thinking. And there's even one point where Saleka stops the show to talk about her dad leaving at 7 and breaking down forgiveness and how to move on, and to release yourself because they are not responsible for your hurt. And that's something we find out Cooper's suffering from because he's got mama issues, but while he separates his life and keeps things private, she makes her pain public in order to connect with her fans.
It's a battle of his ideology versus her ideology, going, oh, you're connected to everyone? It's that versus him and going, you know, I'm going to beat all of you because you don't know who I am.
And it comes back to bite him. He listens in on the search and realizes that he needs to cover his tattoo, which I think matched the logo on his security app that he had. He's scoping out the map, getting ready to pull the fire alarm to cause chaos, but then the FBI pulls the Titanic and starts letting only women and kids pass through certain sections. That's why Cooper decides to cause an explosion with one of the fryers and completely scars this poor girl as he steals an apron. Legit evil. This man then goes to the roof, where obviously SWAT would be posted up, but he gets another save with him knowing the password that's Hamilton, and then getting really lucky that the apron he stole also has that employee's wallet that has a card that they were all given pre-meeting. And look, is it goofy? For sure. But I think that there's good Goofy and lazy Goofy. And here the worst case is that, you know, he doesn't have it, but like he said, he was in shock from the explosion. So if they go down with him, they're going to see that girl horrifically scarred, and he's just going to be able to dip. It's just like the sugar seed from earlier. Man was cocky enough to offer up something from his secret stash that he didn't have, but the worst case is he just blames it on the employee who didn't stock.
How you all doing? You having fun?
But then we approach a type of Goofy that's just, is so foolish. You know, it didn't make sense until I learned that M. Night said he was directing as if he was Cooper, and legit said that if he's thinking on the spot from scene to scene and how to get out of it, then he wanted to direct that way also. Bruh, like we get a scene where Lady Raven takes another set break, right? And since the next song involves a random girl getting chosen, Cooper lies about Riley having cancer and pitches it to M. Night, who cameos as an usher who says yeah. I'm talking about the literal director of this movie gets his actors from point A to point B by literally just walking them over. Like he talks to a security guard that's there literally to get the butcher and just lets them through. This man really whispered into his actor's ear and directed him to move the story forward.
Hey, when this is over, can we go out the back?
That said, I did clock it was a Bees reference right off the bat.
And I know Justin Bieber had his One Less Lonely Girl. How do I become a dreamer girl?
Oh my gosh, that was another inspiration. I forgot about that one.
Cooper now has the Lady Raven crew lanyard, meaning that they've got premium stage seats for the rest of the movie, show, and he even sees her use an inhaler, which is a super duper crucial plot point, probably for the deleted scenes. But then we get my favorite cameo.
I play the Thinker, who is a huge pop megastar.
Kid Cudi walks in complaining about lactate milk and kombucha, and he's the only attendee who actually flirts with Josh. And I'm just imagining how pissed this dude's gonna be when he realizes nobody told him he was a part of an FBI psyop. But the funniest part is finding out that Josh Hartnett met Kid Cudi before the dude was even famous.
He's like, well, I just moved to New York. You want to be friends? I was like, yeah, let's become friends. We became friends, and then he was about to release his album, and he wanted a new video for his for his song Pursuit of Happiness.
We got Josh Hartnett producing this joint.
This is like a year later, and I said, yeah, I'd love to come up with something. And I pitched him an idea. He loved it. And we shot that in one night for $5,000.
Nah, I get why they were giving each other those googly eyes. This man then decides to leave his daughter in order to help this random girl that was pulled from the crowd, who security also just left. But that way it's written for him to look like the good guy when he takes her to the medical staff. Now he's trying to go out back, but then intercepts over the walkie that they're stopping employees now at the end of the concert. So he waits for his meet and greet with Lady Raven, who legit is just walking into the FBI HQ right where they have the cameras. There's really no protocol. Josh recognizes all rules are off in the second half and actually walks up to Lady Raven's room and reveals who he is, forcing her to help them escape through her limo, or else he's gonna kill the dude that he's got tied up over his phone. One, ain't that guy gonna die anyway? Like, isn't your whole goal to capture this dude who's dangerous? Two, the FBI really just let this star that put the whole thing together walk out with a stranger.
Everybody is going to die if I am caught.
On the way over to their house, Lady Raven decides to ask for a visit, even though she, has the address to the butcher. But she's like, no, I gotta earn my SAG card. So now we have an entire scene at their house where she breaks down to the family that the FBI came to her a couple of weeks ago when they found out the butcher's safe houses had a receipt for her concert. And you even see his wife talk about all the random jewelry that he's always coming home with, which would be from the victims. But considering what we learn about her soon, it's really funny seeing her get suspicious for a little bit and then just completely turn it off when Raven asks to play the piano. Like, isn't that what tipped you off about your husband? And then you're switching up the same way? Lady Raven then performs the whole song with Amy Schumer Jr., and it's all set up so that she can snatch Cooper's phone right out of his hands. And even dangles it in front of him for the selfie. Bro, this is a serial killer who's snatching up people in public. And this girl just took his phone and pranced to the bathroom with it.
I'm sorry, Riley, what was that?
She's now in there opening up this app that had a security code at one point and has a one-on-one with the victim, asking you to describe the spot he was taken to blindfolded. And instead of calling the cops, she tries to solve the case before her daddy and hops on a live to ask her chat to figure out where the victim is. I get it's supposed to call back to the connection with her audience and being public, unlike Cooper. That's how she's going to defeat him. But she's talking about finding a blue door like she's Blue's Clues. Just the idea of a little kid who's a fan of hers telling the adults in the house, hey yo, Selena Gomez just asked me on live to go break into the neighbor's house. And then telling them that the reason you're doing it is because the Gilgo murderer might be keeping victims in there. Bro, then they rescue them in record time before the cops get there. FYC in all categories. FYC in all categories. It's so goofy. I almost respect that M. Night once again had Philly save the day through the chat. Cooper then tells his wife the truth and locks up his family in the upstairs bathroom as Raven decides to open the door before she even hears the sirens and gets taken by Cooper to their garage. That's where she pretends to be his mom and tells him to be a good boy. And you realize why they only had her singing in the trailers and there was no clips of her acting.
Monsters aren't real.
Come on. Again, she killed it with the concert pieces. I ain't got nothing but praise for the first half. But this, a lot of people get the word wrong, but this is camp. They have a whole talk about his psychology that explains why he keeps seeing his mom all throughout the movies, and she's the one who robbed him of his childhood, and she's always appearing whenever he's about to hurt someone. Because as he put it, he likes the pain that he's seeing from them because it gives him peace. It actually makes him feel like he's in control. M. Night does have a pattern of having the bad guys, always have a mental condition of some sort, and he uses OCD again here as Cooper has to fix the uneven towels, but then not the brackets he dropped, but then they compare the FBI lady as being the mommy figure that's coming in to fix his issues.
I think that the family part is a mask. I think that who he is, really, is the butcher.
He opens the garage and his family's right there, having escaped through the tree on the second floor. So when the cops and SWAT arrive, he lets them all go and closes the garage and then dips through the secret tunnel that leads to his neighbor's house. And no one's watching him. He then gets Raven's personal chauffeur, who just dropped him off there and kind of caused this, to swap with him, no questions asked, since he was already in his extra SWAT suit that he keeps. So now he's the one leaving with the limo. Cooper then cuffs her, but forgets to put the chow lock on the windows, leading her to roll them down at a traffic light so all of her fans notice her. And yet again, with everyone surrounding this car and staring right at him, he even honks at them. After a massive live stream that would have made the news, dude just walks out of the car. M. Night didn't even bother showing it because he knew better. Instead, he stands there in the crowd that was just looking at him as he watches the SWAT team pull up and shoot up the car, and then just calmly skedaddles because the team has a worse perimeter than the Secret Service. A thing I did notice while cutting up the trailers was that there's actually a deleted scene that seems to take place during this point where he is wearing the same outfit. We even see that half framing, meaning that he's about to hurt someone, and that's supposed to lead to this store where there's a mannequin crime scene that happened.
Cooper, you're not okay. okay.
For the big finale, they say that his kids have been sent off with their aunt for protection, his wife is back home with SWAT surrounding the house, and Lady Raven meets up with the superhero fan who saved the victim. When, honestly, this girl's getting sued for trapping her fans in there with a killer. Like, she got a worker fried. A woman got Jason Derulo'd. That's a class action. In the end, Cooper decides to go back home because he realizes that it was his wife who set him up, and he just walks right in there to have an entire scene with her where he eats pie.
I can't let the two lives touch.
They have a whole discussion about him keeping his life separate and how she's ruined it. That she suspected that he might have been cheating because he's Josh Hartnett, but then realized that the hospital cleaners that he's rinsing himself with was a little too much. And when she caught him lying better than an actor to their neighbors, she planned her own trap where she followed him to one of his safe houses and left a piece of his concert ticket in there and called it in because she immediately had a hunch that he might be the butcher. Like with no evidence. It was just a safe house. So it is kind of weird that the jump was from him being a player to him being a serial killer. This man legit got swatted by his own wife. Now he's feeling pure anger at the idea that he won't see his kids grow up as he realizes that he actually does like being a father just as much as chopping up people. He finishes a slice of pie and is ready to slice his wife, but she magically found a way to drug the cake with his own stash that he uses to knock out the victims, because I guess she found his bag in the car, and why would the SWAT have raided the place? So he's now feeling, but he must be from the Unbreakable universe, because dude takes multiple tasers from the SWAT team that was inside the house the entire time. And even with him being drugged and electrocuted, he's able to gouge a dude's eye out like Oberyn as he sees the last vision of his mama walking towards him. They then arrest him in the house, and on the way out, they let this man touch the bike on the lawn. They even let his daughter, who's supposed to be under protection, just show up here as she walks right up to him, and they let them hug it out. Bruh, just take him to Burger King at this point. They finally lock him up with more daylight than there was before, and he obviously frees himself with a piece of the bike. The mid-credit then has Jamie, the t-shirt guy, freak out when he watches the news, even though this nasty man was a fan and had the snuff films on his phone. But honestly, he was probably worried because he can't admit to anyone that he gave him the Hamilton passcode.
And maybe this movie is kind of the fear of losing your little girl.
Overall, it's been interesting seeing how the first half of his career was always about movies where people would talk about the ending. And now it's all about movies where it's about the premise going in. In Old, he brought his kids in to work on the project as he reflected on his parents getting older and questioning what he was doing with his time. And Knock at the Cabin, he asked the craziest question when it comes to family. And now Trap is him talking about his own, that he set up through his own passion, and the split between his movie career and his family. Because as he puts it, this story is just a father on his last best day with his daughter.
It's a beautiful idea that, you know, our daughters are our kryptonite a little bit.
Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I know it's been a little divisive with this one, but I'd be curious to know how you rank M. Night, because for me, when I was looking back at my personal rankings, I do like his top half of his career. I think it's strong. Like, I even love The Village, which I know some people don't. I think that's a strong movie. So while I think his first half is stronger, I can definitely see how in the second half, like I said, he's been focused more on getting his family on board, working with them. But the difference has also been he's more focused on film technique, you know, the form of it. He's been talking about doing only 400 cuts in movies, playing with who's closer to the camera so you feel closer to them as an audience, and that's like a trick that he uses so that you connect with a serial killer. So he's been doing a lot of that stuff. He's been saying that he's got like a mirror on the lens so that people are acting not into the camera, but that they can see the person that they're talking to. Just a bunch of stuff behind the scenes.
Show my film The Sixth Sense to people. No one thinks it will work. It gets dumped in the worst release time of the year back then.
Which is crazy because it's still the same release date. But obviously the focus really is on his daughters. You know, I've been seeing them in interviews and they have the same mannerisms. Like, man literally directed a concert film for her and even based a lot of it around them.
Trap opens with the little girl singing terribly, and she's like, maybe I'll be a singer, and the father's like, yeah, right. That actually happened with Saleka when she was a little baby. She was pretty much tone deaf, and so she'd sing in her car seat, and it was so awful and beautiful because me and my wife, we'd say, well, one thing we know for sure, she's not going to be a singer. And then the irony as she started to play the piano, and literally she got perfect pitch. You watch it happen. You know what the Asian F is? The Asian F is an A-.
Yeah. What's also funny is how we've been seeing that in rap, Drake and Ye have been putting their kids on their actual albums, and then M. Night goes and gets mentioned in the biggest song of the year.
Yeah.
So now Saleka can't work with Drake.
We love everybody. We love everybody. Dun, 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 dun.
Other than that, let me know your thoughts down below on this one, because I've been seeing a lot of people who do love the second half, which is it's cool. I have no problem with that. But I've been hearing this phrase go around that calling out plot holes isn't the right way to review a movie. And without even arguing that point, just look up the negative reviews of people who say that and find out that plot holes are a thing when it is convenient for them. Like, people would rather change the definition of review before saying that they like something goofy. Just like hearing that M. Night said that he ad-libbed the second half along with Cooper, man, that's a kid waiting till the last minute on a project, so then it only takes a minute. Other than that, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, what you want to see me cover next, and until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and Josh Hartnett will trap you.